We are live!
Welcome to the Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie show, sponsored by the Beacon Tap, Signature Transportation Group, and Mom and Dad Water. Cousin Donnie, how you feeling tonight, my man?
Good. Just got done playing. Had to rush right over. Join on. Sorry if you can't see me. Probably new environment around me. So
I tell you, Cousin Donnie, you look a lot more handsome tonight than you ever have.
I feel good. I feel really good.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
was our guy Spencer tonight? Was he on rare form tonight, or what was he doing?
Uncle Jim. He's just the best. It's so nice pitching when he's behind me. Like I try to just pitch so every ball's headed him, and
Really,
that's just what I do.
dude. I mean, it must be nice to have that type of shortstop and someone that
Hey,
you love
Jim,
so
sorry to
much.
interrupt you, but I heard Chuck's does this, so I'm gonna try to do this real quick. I'm gonna get fired up real quick, okay?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Take your time, Cousin Donnie. Don't worry about it. But on
All
just
right.
so you know, when you play for Sal doesn't allow those type of things.
Yeah, that's why I'm drinking now after the games.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah,
So, as we get into tonight, obviously there's been a lot of just craziness over the last 24 hours in softball. You and I, Cousin Donnie, we're going to talk a little bit about, the teams that made it in Forest Park. We're going to talk a little bit about our guest tonight in the A National recap from the Schaumburg weekend. So, are you excited or what?
yeah. I mean, it's the best time of the year for softball. Honestly, like this is what we all wait for all year long. Um, it's there's so much drama going on too. I mean, it's good and bad. It's good to talk about the game, but there's some stuff that just shouldn't happen, but it did, and that's what we're on here tonight.
Yeah, so Cousin Donnie, I know you were out at the field on Sunday watching Los Lobos and watching
Recruiting.
games out there. What did you think from what you saw out there Sunday?
I mean, there's good ball at A. I mean, overall, I mean, we already know that. Like, we've lost to some good A teams this year, and it's Los Lobos is a damn good team, and they hit, and hell, they even fielded the ball.
Yeah,
They had those cut shot bats out there though. They were working. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I
They had a couple.
you know
Had a
the,
couple of the new I can't the composite ones.
oh,
So
okay. Well,
yeah.
that cut shot guy, he's pretty cheap. He hasn't sponsored the Uncle Jimmy Cousin Donnie show in some time now, and I'm
I'm sure he
hoping.
will.
I'm hoping that he, is not going to be cheap moving forward, right? So that's the main thing. But that guy
Yeah.
Michael, he's always taken care of us in the past, and I know we got big things planned, hopefully, for major nationals. Which reminds me, I have to follow up with the SSA to find out if they're going to allow us to run the home run derby this year. So I know we've been preaching for that, and hopefully it happens.
Yeah, and it should honestly. Like it's I mean, we say it. I feel like we say it every year, every week. Is it's time. You know what I mean? It's time to move on, and we all just grow up and it's all for fun. It's all a game at the end of the day. It's such a family friendly
Yep.
game. We all know each other's families, and there's no reason for all the BS behind that. So
I
and I
I
see that Mikey is on here right now, so he's already running his mouth. It looks like.
Yeah, before we get to our guests, I just want to say hello to Jake Reynolds, Sam Rogers, our boy Mikey has joined. We're up to about 86 guests right now live. So Drew, that kind of leads us right into Los Lobos.
Hold
Let's
on.
do.
What'd you say?
I said we're up to about 86 guests
Oh,
live right now.
I thought you called me Drew. I was confused there for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Donnie, uh, just a much more handsome version of cousin Donnie. But
Yeah.
that being said, our guest tonight, what are you excited about tonight about meeting Alex? Because I know for a lot of 16-inch softball players, a lot of people don't know who Alex is. Uh, and I think he's someone who can give us a different view and a different opinion about the game.
Absolutely. I mean, being close niche in Iowa and stuff, and being around the game, like Alex's name has been always one of the first name brought up when we're always or when teams are always looking to add players and such. It's hey, let's see if we can get Alex Hovey, come play. The kid's gonna hit. You know what I mean? He's an unbelievable player, and he's a dedicated softball player too. Where that guy, I don't know Alex that much, but I know the guys that play with him. He don't miss anything. You know what I mean? If he says he's
Right.
gonna be there, he's gonna be there. So
I'm also, we're going to get in obviously to the main topics. I know the people want to hear about how they feel about Los Lobos not making the A No Glove or the major national at Forest Park. So, are you ready to bring on Alex? I think now is a good time.
absolutely,
We're going to get
yep,
right to
absolutely.
the questions. So, let me get him on this feed here. See if he's probably still drinking from the weekend. What do you think?
Could be. I don't blame him if he
Oh,
would.
there he is. There he is.
There
Look,
he
look,
is.
look at his in the background. He's got national champion, no glove A national champion. Congrats, Alex, on that. Welcome to the
Appreciate
Uncle
it.
Congrats, man.
Cousin Donnie
Excited
show
to be on here.
by the Beacon Tab Signature Transportation Group and Mom and Dad Water. So, I know this is your first time on the show. First time that we're introducing you to the Chicago audience, and obviously we have a ton of people from Iowa, Arizona, San Diego, pretty much all over that follow us. New Orleans. I know we have a couple people always jump on from there as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell the fans who you are, how you got started in softball. Just give us a quick background of yourself before we jump into the hot topics.
So I started playing fresh out of high school in 2012. Started running my own teams, ran my own teams for like 5 years, played 12-inch at the D level, which is a question I want to get to at some point tonight is comparison of levels between 16 and 12-inch. So we played at the D level for about the first 3 years, bumped up to C, played the C level for 3 or 4 years. I got with Dobson, who coached our Los Lobos team this weekend, and we played. We were blasters, and then Drip City. We won C Nationals. Then we ended up being the Herd. We won A Nationals, and then he kind of, a group of our guys, took a step back from 12-inch. They wanted to not play as much. I still feel like I'm in the prime, so I'm still playing at a real competitive level. Playing with a team called Comatose out of Wisconsin at the A and B level, and playing 16-inch when I can, having a blast playing 12, 14, and 16-inch. And I think I was always against playing 16-inch at the beginning of my career when I first started, but these past 2 years, last year I just spot played a couple times, and then this year I've spot played a couple tournaments, and then this past weekend was actually my first full tournament where I played start to finish and not just come on a Sunday or play a couple games here or there. And one thing from it is I think the gloves need to be left. I think what we played this weekend was way better than anything I've played before with gloves.
Right. So you love the concept of the Chicago game with the no glove. Being able to just the game is a different game, right? I mean, would you agree
Mm-hmm.
it's a completely different game with a glove and without a glove? I mean, some of us, like unfortunately, cousin Donnie, he can't get a hit either way with a glove or not a glove. But how did you feel this weekend, hitting wise, without the glove? Was it just more confident swinging it, or how did you
I
feel?
mean, I'm pretty confident in the box, no matter what game I'm playing, whether people have gloves or, it's 12, 14, or 16-inch. And I like to let the other teams know that I'm pretty confident in the box too. And,
Right.
it's just, I like to have fun with it. I like to work the middle of the field a lot. I think the middle holes are really big, and
Right.
without the gloves, they were even bigger. I feel like,
Right.
you have some infielders getting hands on balls, maybe deflect them to stop a double from happening. But, I had some pretty good success this weekend.
Oh, the advantages of hitting from the left side, just so tough. You know what I mean? Like, but what's coming, like
Yeah.
what you said too is like you always said you wanted to stay away from like hitting 16-inch, compared to when you because you're playing futures team USA, and
Hmm.
this I always hated because my teams are always consistent with 12-inch guys. I hated and I could tell when they'd go play a 12-inch tournament the weekend before and then they would come and play a 16-inch tournament. It's totally different swings and I mean it can be, for some guys, not like, I mean, you're such a good hitter that you have the same game on both sides, but it is so different swings. And like Alex, we've talked to, it was like that 16 inches already, so hard to hit. And then you put those gloves on and it just
Hmm.
makes it so much harder to get a hit. So I think, like you said, is the game should just be played without gloves. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just how it should be played because you get, a guy that wants to come play and he's going to come play an Iowa tournament with gloves. He's going to get deterred to not want to come back. I mean, but with a no glove or without gloves, it's, it gives them a shot where
Hmm.
they could hit a bad ball and still get on base, or a bobble gets them on base. And it's kind of like that golfing where the one good shot brings you back. You know what I mean? Type deal.
Right.
So, and
Right.
I think that's why 16-inch should be just played without gloves. I mean, that's how I feel about it. So,
Yeah.
So
I think we got to start with just here in Iowa. We got to get a tournament without gloves.
and that's what we'll talk about. That's what I've been trying to do for a while. Where you're in this market over here in the Quad Cities, where I've been here now for 5 years, and a dream of mine has always been, and I know with Jimmy and all the guys over there that I've got a good relationship with, I've always wanted to do a border bash. I think it would be one of the funnest tournaments is if we did Battle of the Border. We bring the best teams from Chicago over, and we could try to get a handful of Iowa teams. I
Hmm.
know Los Lobos would now. Hall of Fame definitely would. Chucks would. I think we would draw a couple others too. And I think it'd be a blast. And you got the connections up there in Clinton where we could get those fields for a weekend. And I
Hmm.
think something to definitely look into for next year. Maybe we'll call it a national tournament too, since everybody can play. But
yeah, since we're talking about national tournaments, how does it feel to be on a team that wins the A National? Unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, you guys just weren't good enough to get in Forest Park. So,
Yeah.
I know, we're going to get onto this subject here, and I want to look at it from both sides of the picture, right? And I think you being new to the game of 16-inch for the most part, you have to kind of understand a little bit about how Forest Park operates and runs their tournaments. So first off, for all the viewers and most of the people know here in Chicago, Forest Park usually tends to favor a lot of the teams that play in the Forest Park League. Okay, which hey, it's an invitational tournament. They pick the rules. That's the way it is, right? So that's number one. Now, obviously, that's against you guys in regards to being from Iowa. Number two, you also have another team out there right now that kind of got the stip a little bit in regards to a play-in team, and that's Traffic. I also believe that Traffic got a stip because technically they're playing in the Melrose League at the A League and not in the A League at Forest Park, right? They're 9-1 in the Melrose League. They're not in the Forest Park League. The team that got in was 5-1, which is Ribs. Obviously you guys saw them out this weekend at the A National. You also saw Traffic out there at the A National. So, a lot of people are talking about those teams and those teams not getting in Forest Park. Ribs getting a playing game. You also got to realize Ribs is in first place in the A League at Forest Park, right? So that's something that I think all of us have to understand. But
hey,
for
Jimmy,
you guys, but go ahead.
is Ribs? I've never Ribs is like the. Are they? Someone said they're the ground crew from Forest Park.
No, so it's Dave Novak's grandson, I believe, the gentleman
Okay,
to be the main. But
gotcha.
but overall, they're still. I believe Ribs deserved a playing
Yeah,
game.
for sure.
They're in
Yeah.
first place in the league, and Forest
Yep.
Park has always put an emphasis on their league play, which you have to understand. Now, in
Yeah, they
regards
do.
to Los Lobos, I know this was the first tournament that you guys ever played no glove, right? So many were saying that the tournament was already picked prior to you guys coming down, which could be. I don't know. I thought that by you guys winning the A No Glove National that you should have got a bid, but then you got to look at it from this aspect too. Is like, well, then who do you take out, right? So you can knock out one of the playing teams and drop someone who got an automatic big down, which is very possible. You could have dropped like a Goodwood down or some of those other A teams that you guys competed against this past weekend. So that major topic, and I know you're on the Los Lobos team, and so when you guys won A No Glove, and this goes into my first question before we even start talking about the weekend, when you guys won the weekend and won the A National, technically, which the SSA does run, has no affiliate with Forest Park, as you should know. Did you guys feel you were going to get in the tournament? Was there any chatter at Schaumburg this weekend when you guys won?
I mean, I think going in, we felt like we were on the short end of the stick, and we thought if we put on a show that maybe we'd get an invite. And I don't know how much more of a show we could have put on.
Right.
But I know I was talking to Donnie some. I had talked to Gio, and I know he doesn't really have any say in this tournament, but both points of view from them were that the winner of that tournament should have been getting an invite. And that, I think with the news breaking yesterday, because we had thought by winning it we were going to get an invite, it made things even worse for us because we were planning on going. And
right.
Now we don't, and it's not even like we could talk to somebody or see if there was something we could do. It was just
right.
done with. And the other team that I feel like should be getting an invite, and they've never played no gloves before, is Resmondo.
Well, so you make up a good point. So Resmondo won the major national with the glove. I believe if Resmondo wanted to come play the no glove, I think they would have got an invite from winning the major national. Now, I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying that I believe they would have got an invite. I don't believe Resmondo could have made the weekend, though. I know I spoke with Hellner back a couple months ago, and he said if it was possible, but the only thing is that those guys can't risk getting hurt without playing without a glove. And I think it makes sense, right? Because most of those guys are either have back contracts or have some type of pay coming their way for playing 12-inch softball. So I understand his point, but to your point, if you guys were Resmondo, right, which, well, clearly you're not, but if you were, would you have got an invite? And the answer would have been, I think, yes. But
does that committee actually reach out to the managers and formally invite them, or do they make a post and just post the picture of the team?
So what happens, Alex, coming from the outside, like how you guys are.
Yeah.
So I came from Tides, and we always wanted to play no glove, Chicago. Like we always wanted to come. We were the second Iowa team ever invited at Forest Park. Stover was always the first. Stover always was the best team in Iowa, and that wanted to play no gloves besides CJ's. So Stover always got the invite. And when I was growing up, me and TJ Cataldo would come over and we'd play with Stover and stuff. And I was like, this is amazing. When you go to Forest Park, it is one of the coolest experience. I mean, I hate to just like be on you about that, but it's when you've been in all the softball complexes, it is just one of the coolest experiences walking in that Thursday, Friday night game. That complex is just loaded with people that just hate you, in a way. But it's and then like going to that when I was fresh out of college, playing D1 baseball in front of the SEC 7,000 fans, and I come and show up to Forest Park, and I'm like, now this is what I want to do for the rest of my softball career type deal, you can say. So we always, when I went to Tides, then our goal was, hey, let's go pull over to Chicago. Let's see what we can do to get into Forest Park. We were, if like the past about 16-inch softball is the Tides, like we were always that team everybody wanted to play because you could beat us. Like we were a defensive team. We weren't like you guys, where you guys hit the shit out of the ball. We had to play defense. We had to do the small things. We had to move runners over and do all this to win games. But we'd go over. But that made us good at no gloves, where we could we could go over and, we could run down balls, track down balls, stuff like that. But we had to go play north-south. We had to go play I can't remember what the big one was back in Chicagoland. Chicagoland was the big one where we had to always come and play Chicagoland. And if we didn't win 2 games at Chicagoland, we could write ourselves off of we weren't going to make Forest Park. One year, I think we won 3 games, and we were celebrating in the pool. Like, we made it to Forest Park. It was the biggest deal in the world. You know what I mean? And going off of that, it was just like, that's how we got to make it to Forest Park. Like, we came over twice, tried to get in, but what you guys did should have been in. I mean, that's a no-brainer. There was no no glove back in the day, because that's where we would have been playing just like you guys, and we would have been irate because that was our goal.
Yeah. Were there any major teams that weren't invited to Major No Glove?
No.
No. Every team that is classified, I believe, as a major team, made the tournament. So I know.
So with us getting the automatic bump from winning, we're technically the only team that would be major that's not in it now.
That is correct. Right now, you guys would be the only major team. They're not going to allow you to play the A glove national, so you could throw that out. That's almost.
They already knew that. That going in.
Yeah, but at the same time, you will be able to play Labor Day weekend, which is the glove national. Which, you're going to go out there and make a good showing. Who knows? You'll be able to compete with the best of the best, and then maybe come next year. I would plan for you guys to come in for like a north-south. Come in for one of the other tournaments that's no glove and compete in that. I think next year there's no doubt that you guys will get an invite to Forest Park. Unfortunately, I think with the committee this year, I think it was just maybe too late to the game. If this tournament was a week prior to them making their decision, I don't know. I'm just speaking on behalf of what I think. I don't know. I think everyone understands that you guys should have been in the tournament. I think we all know that you're a top 24 team. That makes a ton of sense. But once again, this is an invitational tournament. They can invite who they want. And I think a lot of people have to understand that. We, as softball players, want to say it's the no glove, which is what they call it, right? The national, which is what they call it. But it's also an invitational from Forest Park. And I think that's a lot of things that you have to understand. They can pick and choose who they want. They don't have to take the best of the best, I guess you want to say. So and it sucks because I think as competitors, I think we all want you guys there. We want to see you guys play against, the 45s, Flash, Signature. We don't really name the Iowa teams, but the rest of the guys, isn't that right, cousin Donnie? We kind of don't get into Chucks and Hall of Fame.
Yeah, this is a kid show, but fuck those Iowa guys.
Right, exactly. So the other thing is that you could do is you could actually jump on a Chucks or possibly a Hall of Fame team if they were willing to pick you guys up, because it is an open roster tournament. So you could really go play with any of the teams. Maybe Dobbins can call one of the teams that got in the tournament and you guys can go under them. I mean, who's to say? It's open roster.
Hey, Jimmy, is that why all the major teams are watching the Class A the tournament last weekend? They're all recruiting.
100%. I mean, the guys don't get in. It is what it is, right? It's an open roster tournament. I've seen guys who play with a major team all year come to Forest Park and go play with another major team. It happens, not often, but it happens, time and time again. So we had a ton of comments, though. I want to get into some of that before we get on to our next question. We had a good one here by Nick, and it says, Jimmy, why not have the A National winner, the team first in Melrose and Forest Park, and another play in moving forward? That could be not a bad problem. I mean, but majority of the time of what he's saying here for Nick, majority of the time those teams get in the tournament. I was trying to figure out when was the last time an A National winner, since they've been hosting this tournament, did not get in Forest Park. I want to say it was 2019. It was the last time a team that won the A No Glove did not get in Forest Park. So, that was the only one I can come up with. I think, Shooters won it. They got in. I know Demons won it. They got in. There was.
Was it Mint? I saw that, I believe, in a comment. It was Mint. And somebody said in a comment, though, that they got the invite and they declined.
Maybe. And I know a lot of those guys on Mint, they play in the Papa Hops.
Hmm.
So if you,
Yeah,
so the rule
that's
is,
what he. Yeah,
go
going
ahead.
into what you're gonna say, Alex, later about these classification stuff. Papa Hops plays a huge role into the 16-inch major classification. You won't see guys all year long, and all of a sudden you'll see them come out later in the year because they can't get reclassed basically after Papa Hops or something like that, right? Or I
Right.
guess I don't know. Yeah. So
Yeah. So I mean, however Papa Hops does it, majority of the time I think they go by the major national teams that played in the Forest Park tournament, and they go Forest Park to Forest Park. That's how they do it. So if you played on a major team between Forest Park and next year's Papa Hops, you're classified as a major team. Okay. I know there's other little rules that they put into place, but in that case, Alex, I don't know what you're doing August or July 11th,
no, no, no. Yeah,
but
2 weeks.
you come and play with Uncle Jimmy anytime you want, my man.
So I have a few things for you and what you just said. So um, in regards to the major glove nationals being on Labor Day,
Mm-hmm.
I saw my 12-inch coach post down here that I'm busy, and he's right. That is
Yeah.
so that's A and B nationals as well for 12-inch. So
AF,
I will not be there for the major glove. If Los Lobos gets in, I'll be playing 12-inch.
right.
Um, but and I kind of want to, after playing this weekend, I don't want to play with a glove. I think July 11th we're playing at the Hall of Fame here in Cedar Rapids, and it's a glove tournament. I want to play without gloves.
Yeah.
If we play Chucks, I think we should all drop the gloves and just play.
Hovey, we've literally swept Iowa without gloves 2 years now. But it's such a disadvantage of playing a team with gloves though. But
Yeah.
we got better. But then like the thing is like last year we tried to do it and we had people get hurt. We had injuries and like for instance, Big Kev was playing third base against a team that we should have beat 15-0 or whatever, and a line drive, and his finger got caught, and he was out for the rest of the year. And it's like, is it worth playing without gloves against team? You know what I mean? When
Hmm.
like you got injuries that happen, and it's just and you still at the end of the day, like when we go to Forest Park, we make the same stupid errors without gloves when we play without gloves all year long.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so then it's so tough. Like, but no, if we're gonna play Hall of Fame, we'll play F Town. If F Town wants to drop the gloves against us, we'll drop the gloves. I know you guys will now.
Hmm.
It's a more fun game. It's better for the fans to watch. Like I remember always going to Carroll for the first time and we were playing without gloves against all these good teams, and we didn't have gloves. People would just be like, "What are they doing? They got no gloves." And it's like you just get fans to chant, watch more, and it's just
Hmm.
better for the game. No gloves, just it's more fun. You get more athletic plays. Like it's way better.
Yeah. And then my last thing for you, Jimmy, is so in regards to major classifications of players and A players, is there a database or anything like that, or is it just
No,
is it a group of minds behind a closet door and they decide who's major and who's not?
honestly, it's based on your roster, the team that you play for. That's really what it comes down to in 16-inch. I mean, all the good players know who the good players are. We all understand that. But if you went and
Yeah.
played an A team, you technically wouldn't be classified as a major player because you play for an A team.
Right.
So a lot of guys at the major level that play on a major team, like for Papa Hops, just using that tournament as an example, you're only allowed two major players. Well, what Papa Hops does is they go by the roster, I believe, of that major player. So if they're on a major roster, they're classified as a major player, which is good and bad, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, it's good so people don't load up, but at the same time, it's also bad for like maybe the 14th or 15th guy that's on the bench that might be just a pinch runner or
Yeah.
somebody who's maybe not a major player, but they're on a major team because they can add an asset to that team based on speed or defense.
Yeah.
But then it screws them when they go to play in other tournaments because they're classified as a major player, where technically you and I would say that person's not a major player, right?
Hmm.
So I know, we've always said this like with certain guys in softball. I'm not going to name some, but there's certain guys that play on major teams that are not major players, but
Right.
they're good players, but
Hmm.
they would be an A team. They'd be an A player. So it has its good and its bad. I just want to get to the comments though, really quick, Alex. I know we have a ton of people. There's one.
Ouch, you drinking Beacon Tap Propel too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that a
Yeah.
boy.
Oh yeah, man.
I don't have the juice box tonight, but I do have a root beer. So we have Easy Fix 28 teams. So Traffic, Los Lobos, and a couple others get in. Maybe you don't need the 8 buys. Yeah, that's a one comment there. Jake Olson is replying on there for Baltimore people. He says, whose signature? Our boy Kevin Knorr, who's from the old team Jagoff. He was an old Los Lobos would lose the first round game anyways. Keep in Iowa. You got to know Kevin. He's a ball buster. Here's my nephew Stretch. I can't believe Hammer to Clan didn't get an invite for the 8th year in a row. Hammer to Clan was an old A team that used to pound the ball and never wanted to play major.
Hey, did you hear my comment about Stretch earlier on the A? I was like, Stretch is an A player? Like, what the hell? Like, how is that guy an A player?
He plays in the parks now. That's what he likes to do. He's 2 minutes from his house, and he drinks his White Claws and his High Noons, and so he's a happy. He said, Luke says, is there any chance that Hammer Los Lobos will come to the Terry Moran tournament? So the Terry Moran tournament is on the north side of Chicago, July 12th, but you guys are already playing up in the Cedar Rapids tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So how about Rick's? There's people posting about Rick's on there. Gloves are optional in Cedar Rapids. That's the Hall of Fame guys. Brady Fisher, who just newly married Brady Fisher, just said F-Town isn't going to drop the gloves against us. So he also says, get to the comments, Jimmy. That's Jake Olson. Love Jake. Thank you, Jake. I'm getting to him, buddy. He swears more than he hits. I'm assuming that's you, cousin Donnie. He's yelling at you, swear more than you hit. So
well, we'll see about that at Forest Park, I guess.
Yeah, you'll have to see that. So let's get to the next question, Alex. You know, we talked a lot about Los Lobos not getting in the Forest Park tournament. We've talked about how you guys feel. What does your coach think? Because I know your coach did an interview yesterday. Has he communicated? I mean, obviously he's probably pissed off. But what is his logic behind or what he's thinking? Because he seemed to be pretty mellow yesterday on his interview.
I mean, I don't know if there's any other way to be. You know, we did everything we could other than play in North-South or Tournament of Champions or one of the other tournaments that weren't even on our radar at the start of the year. You know, our goal was to win a no glove and then possibly play a glove, which we know we can't play now.
Yeah.
And, you know, by competing in those, getting an invite to major no glove was definitely on our radar, but we thought by performing well at a no glove, we would get that invite. You know, it wasn't in the cards, but him and I, and, you know, the guys on our team, we've been around softball enough to know, if we can't, we don't get to make the decisions. He's gone to bat for us a lot. I know Jake Reynolds went to bat for us a lot to even get us into A-No gloves, along with some other guys on the board. So it was even great to even get to play that because, if we would have been denied in that tournament, we wouldn't even had a dog in the fight to say we should play the major no glove. Even though they were saying we were a major team, we shouldn't have been able to play A-No glove. We wouldn't have got in for sure.
Right.
But, I think the toughest thing for us all is that I think there's 6 or 7 A teams that are in the tournament. We played 3 of them head to head. We beat them very handedly. Menace was our toughest game. We won 11-5 against them.
Only team you didn't run, right?
Right. Yeah. We only gave up 25 runs in 5 games. 15 of those 25 runs were in the first inning of the games. From innings 2 through 7, we give up 10 total runs.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that was, partially because it was a new ball. Teams were taking visitors on us, which I think was pretty dumb. But I think 3 teams took visitors against us on the weekend.
They had to try something new, man. They had to try something.
Just to hit the new ball, I guess. And
I thought that last game when Futures played you, what'd they go up on you guys? 3-4 nothing in the
Three
first.
3-0, yeah.
And then you guys cut it in half, and then it was like 6, and then it was the fourth inning. You guys are already up like 15-4, and I'm like, well, I'm checking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, Dobson touched on it in his interview yesterday. It's just like getting down for us doesn't bother us because we're used to we've given up 15. We gave up 17 runs in the top of the first inning at Nationals in 22 when we won it.
Yeah,
And
crazy.
you just gotta hit with the other team consistently. You gotta score every inning.
Yep.
What in both of your guys' opinions, when you guys are playing no glove, what's your goal for runs and what's your goal for batting average to play?
well, I mean, to be a good hitter, I feel in 16-inch, it's usually over 600, right? I think if you could hit over 600, you had a pretty solid weekend. Even 500 over 500 is a pretty solid weekend. The thing is I think runs are more obviously important than they are in 12-inch, right? Because you can
Mm-hmm.
score 40 runs in 12-inch. The speed of the ball is a lot quicker. That's the difference, I think. Obviously, when they look at 16-inch, the ball's bigger, doesn't move as quick, right? Now, some of the way some of the bigger guys hit it, you wouldn't think that, but I just feel like the ball doesn't fly as far. Obviously, the ball is also, guys are able to run it down easier. So there's a lot more elements to it, and I think runs come at a premium. So when you have first and second no outs and 16-inch, you want to make sure that both of those runners score, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think to what your coach was saying yesterday, and kind of your mindset as a 12-inch player, you're looking to have big innings. A lot of times in the 16-inch game, you don't really have, huge big innings. Some of the major teams do, but you're not going up there thinking you're going to score sometimes 10 and 15 runs an inning. It just doesn't happen because the ball's different, the ball speed's different. The game, to your point, like you have some legit athletes tracking balls down that, let's face it, they're not flying 400 feet. They're only going
Mm-hmm.
to, some of the big dogs only can hit at 275.
Yep.
So the field's a lot smaller too. It plays a lot smaller, which makes the runs come down. And like I always say, the game of 16-inch is more of an element of baseball strategy than it is of 12-inch. 12-inch, I feel, is just it's a hitter's game, right? You're constantly, first 1 to 40 wins a lot of the times. To your point, down 17-0, coming back and tying it or taking a lead and winning that game. I would go ahead and guess. I mean, there's been teams down 15-0 and 16-inch come back and win, yes, but that doesn't happen very much.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're down that big at 16-inch, majority of those times those teams are not coming back to hit and do a lot of the things for 16-inch. So that's the difference to me when you look at the element of the game, the speed of the game. I think that has a lot to do with it, and I think that has a lot to
And
do with what we're talking about. Go ahead,
And
Pete.
what I'll tell you, Alex, too, is the thing about like 16-inch too, is the more you play this game, the harder it gets because your tendencies, like teams pick up on that, and like there's a reason why the best players are the older players because like we got like not saying I do, but like the better players you'll see in this game have every swing, so it's harder to play them. Where like a younger guy, you don't know what they're gonna do up the bat, you kind of play them straight up and then you kind of start to figure out their tendencies, so you start to move. So you'll see like the better of the teams, like say a 45s versus a flash, their games might be 4-2, where you're scoring 12 runs a game, type deal. But these teams play each other 20 times, 30 times a year, I mean damn near, and it's like you get to know their tendencies. Pitchers start to pitch to their pitch and play their defense to their ball instead of
Yep.
these new guys that are coming up where it gets harder to hit in this game, which it sounds weird, but it does in a way. Like it is harder as you get playing, the more you do,
Until
So
until his point here, Alex, I think the other thing you got to look at is you most of the time you got to hit your third and fourth best ball because teams are
yeah,
taking away your first two, right? And I
correct.
think that's the
Yep.
difference too between 12-inch and 16-inch. Is at 12-inch you're just swinging it hard and you're trying to hit a gap or you're trying to do whatever you're trying to do,
That
and you can
ball's always going
probably
to be there for you.
right, and the
Yep.
middle's open, the other things are open. So 16-inch, you really when you play the better teams, to Drew's point or cousin Donnie's point here, you have to hit sometimes your third and fourth best ball to get a
Yeah.
hit, and so that's why those games I think sometimes are lower scoring because of the fact and great defense too, right? I mean, there's just great plays being made. So, but
I,
go ahead, Drew. What's or cousin Donnie? What's a question for Alex?
I mean, I would say, but like, we've already kind of talked about it. Is like, how was it going to Chicago for the first time? Like experiencing the no glove, experiencing the SSA guys, like the competition that you're playing, the LBC SC. I don't want to call them the Los Barachos because that they were getting on the guy for SSA about it, but the future guys. Like how did you feel about out there?
I thought it was a great event. One thing that I was super impressed with was I thought the umpiring was phenomenal, and that's something that most guys that are in this chat that know me are going to say that I never feel like the umpiring is very good. I have my fair share of games where I get ejected, I get warned. I'm pretty tough on umpires. I thought they were phenomenal, which was great to see. I didn't know what to expect with umpires, coming in as an Iowa team. I didn't know if we were going to get the shaft, if we were going to, if umpires were going to favor the Chicago teams. You hear all those things, but overall, I thought the umpires were great. I thought it was ran really well. Dobson talked about it yesterday. Every team we played was super friendly. They have fun playing. They play the game the right way. It was great to see, and I think we'll definitely be back and playing more no glove tournaments. Just to go back a touch though, I don't see that much difference hitting 16-inch in no glove versus 12-inch. I see the same holes on the field.
Yep.
I'm shooting left field line. I'm shooting 5-6 hole. Middle guys play me backside. I'm going pitcher middle hole. I intentionally hit a foul ball one at bat to get the middle guy over to the push side and then hit the middle hole where he was at. We do all those things in 12-inch too, and it's not like I think the perception of 12-inch is it's unlimited home runs and people just go up and swing hard all the time. But in every tournament we're playing in, we have limits. We're playing small ball just like in 16-inch. The only difference is we can go up there and step on it as hard as we can, pretty much whenever we want to hit it through the infield. Where in 16-inch, not everybody has that. We had probably 5 or 6 guys in our lineup that could burn an outfielder any at bat. But then I didn't. Not one at bat did I go up there and try to burn an outfielder. I was just hitting gaps and holes, and which is that to me, that's the only difference. Where in 12-inch, I can go up and hit a home run when I need to.
Yeah, you make a great point because when you look at Respondo when they came for major nationals and hit the 16-inch for the kind of, I know they were hitting it all year, but for the first time in tournament play, a lot of those guys, those first 3 or 4 swings, were trying to beat the outfielders, and then you saw a light bulb switch, and they said, "Wait a minute, that ain't gonna work." And so then they started hitting your holes and doing other
Mm-hmm.
things and trying to just change their swing. And then at that point, they really caught on quickly, and it was really cool to see. And a lot, it does compare to compared to a 12-inch. I've hit a 12-inch ball. Cousin Donnie, as you know, out in Yuma, when I beat
Yeah.
your teammate Spencer in the home run derby. I'm not going to brag about that, but just saying. Either way, it's something that it is a little bit different of a swing, but the ball does pop off that bat, and that's where I think
It
the
gets through a
difference.
hole quicker.
It
Yeah.
does,
Mm-hmm.
it really does, and I think that's why averages and obviously you guys score more runs. It's harder to play defense.
And going
You
back
know,
off of the Rismondo thing, like coming to major nationals with a glove, I mean, with a glove makes a difference. But I mean, I think they held the championship games against Flash. What was it? Was low scoring. They didn't get to 10, did they?
they lost the first game, and then I think they double. I know they lost the Flash once, and then I think the last game was close. I think it was like 10-7.
Yeah, not it wasn't real high, but their first couple of games was like 8, 8, 7, 7, 8 runs or something like that, if I remember right.
I know.
They
I think
didn't score.
I want to say they beat the 45s 2-0 too one game.
Yeah, that was one of those. Yeah, yep, you're right. They did.
I mean, I can see games with gloves being low scoring. I don't know
Without a glove.
with the roster
Yeah.
we had this weekend, and I know we haven't played a true major team. I think it would be hard for us to not score 10 runs in a game without gloves.
Yeah.
I think the team we have a really great mixture of power and base hitters
Yep.
throughout our lineup, and you know, I guess that's
I
why
agree, yeah.
I really wanted to get a shot at it.
Yeah,
No,
when
for
I
sure, and you
threw
guys should have.
Yeah, when I threw the Team Jagoff team together this year, it was kind of a mixture team that we came out there with this year. You know, we had some guys bail on us last minute. We had some guys step up to the plate and show up, so we were able to field the team, which was awesome. And we had a tremendous, awesome weekend. I know we played you guys, I believe, in the fourth place game or wherever it was to get back to the third place. And I think we were beating you guys like 9-1 in like the
Mhm.
fourth inning, and then all of a sudden we hit a wall, and then you guys just started pounding the ball, and it was
Yeah, we almost 10'd you guys in that inning.
yeah. Before you know it, it was like 15-9, and we're like,
I mean,
what the heck?
Donnie was just throwing honey rolls out there.
Well, that's
I mean, shit. I mean, that's what I do, I guess.
yeah, cousin Donnie there. So, but yeah, either way, I mean, it's one of those situations where stuff like that happens, right? Uh, and you know, like I said, it sucks that you guys ain't getting in Forest Park, but you can come out and watch me play, Alex, if you want to come out and watch me, if you want.
Yeah, I'll probably be there.
All right, attaboy.
Ooh, are we gonna have a little who's Hovey gonna come play with at Forest Park? Is this like gonna be one of those selection shows?
We'll see about that. We don't know for sure yet, but
Did you?
I'm sure I'll be there.
All right.
Now, going off, Alex, about like your 12-inch team that you guys are playing with this year. Like you're playing with Comatose, and I kind of I follow you guys. You guys are you got a couple of guys from the Quad Cities and stuff, and have you guys even lost a tournament this year? Even made an if game?
The Windy City, we played the U Trip Major in
That's
Chicago.
right. Yeah.
We didn't have we had a not full roster, and I think we could have made a run honestly with a full roster.
Yeah.
But that was the weekend of Marshalltown. So I played Windy City Friday, Saturday, hopped in the car Saturday night, and got to Marshalltown for Sunday morning to beat Jagoff.
Same thing with my boy Matty, man. Like you guys are like Matty. Every time he would go play a big 12-inch tournament, and if we were still in the tournament on Sunday, Matty made a point would drive across country and come play. And some of the tournaments, like Matty would play just Sunday, and we're like, Matty's MVP. Like he went off for us and helped us, win championships. And Matty would be like, you better not even give me a trophy because I wasn't here all weekend. That's just how Matty is, and I know Alex is the same way. And it's just like you guys would always be there for your team. If you're gonna play softball and you're in on a team, like you're gonna be there. That's for sure.
Yeah, Matt was one of our most important players, if not the most important player on our run in A. He batted in the middle of our lineup all year, and when we got double dipped in the B, we kind of had a meeting, and I bitched about not having enough guys on base in front of me, so I made him lead. I made him lead off, and I moved to the 3-hole, and it worked, and we went clean through it. But he's used to hitting in the middle of the lineup with people on, but he kept it down and was huge.
What's funny is we kind of made the same switch this year with Matty. He was always hitting down in the middle of the lineup behind big Matt Mackey and Jake Reynolds, and trying to do his thing down there. And I'm like, dude, get your ass up to the top, get on base for those big boys. Like you're too good of a hitter to you have all the swings, and like that's the thing. Like you guys, you and Matty are a couple of the, I think, 12-inch guys that can come over and play this game. Like I played with Chad Hook and Butler. Like those guys are unbelievable athletes and did both, in a time. And it's tough to have both those swings on cue, man. I mean, and I commend you guys because, like I said earlier, I hated, and I could tell when my guys would come over and play 16-inch from playing a 12-inch weekend. They're not the same swing. Like those power hitters, it's all pop-ups in 16-inch because you throw them those high pitches and they can't do anything with it after getting, like 7-foot cookies all weekend.
Yeah.
So
I struggled with 12-inch tonight with, I hadn't picked up a bat since this weekend. The rubber's so much further back in 12-inch, and it
So,
was a
so
little
Alex, you
different.
say that. What's the big 12-inch guy? He's the best hitter in the world right now for Rismondo.
Oh,
Um,
KP, Kyle Pearson.
Yeah, Kyle Pierce. So what did he hit? He hit at national. I think he hit probably maybe 400 at nationals. And I remember talking to him at after the tournament was over, and he's like, "I need 1,000 swings before next weekend," because he was so mind blown that you know what I mean? Like that's
Mhm.
that. I mean, that's how different the two swings are. I mean, when the best hitter in the world can't come and like just hit 600, at 16-inch, and his mind is like he's like comes to me and he's like, I gotta have 1,000 swings by next weekend. I mean, it
Mhm.
just shows
Yep.
you that there is different swings,
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. So we had a comment from Jordan Poole here. He says the only guy that can get Al out is himself. So good props for you coming in from the fans. Uh, they want you guys to stop blowing Matt, our boy Stragi. So we'll do that. I'll put that comment up there. I believe that comment came from
B-Town.
our boy
Bryce.
our boy BS. So yeah, I mean that being said, it is a different swing. I've played, I've got a chance now to play 12-inch just locally here once in a while. It is a little bit different swing. It's just a little bit different game. But let's get back to 16-inch now. Did the chatter from Rismondo, them playing major nationals last year, because I heard a lot of great feedback from the Rismondo guys, and I heard that those guys were going out in the 12-inch world and talking about the 16-inch game and how much fun they had and how much welcoming the players were and a lot of things that we did on the 16-inch side. Is that one of the reasons why you guys kind of came to play this year in Iowa, 16-inch, or did it have anything to do with it, or is it just kind of
No,
like
it actually happened. It happened last year. So Dobson and so Breezy wanted to be done with 12-inch essentially, and
right?
Dobson was ready to be done as well. So a group of them mixed with a group that was already in Iowa called Punch,
Yep.
and they played some last year. I don't know if they ended up going to nationals. They ended up splitting up, and Dobson or Punch is still a team, but the guys that came with Dobson ended up going, coming to Los Lobos, and they put something together. But it was more so just last year they got a taste of it, and they had fun with it, and I think they just wanted to see what we could do, on a national level with it.
Right.
For a year, we've had great success playing up, playing 12 and even 14, which is a great game. And I don't know if any of, the Chicago guys have played it, but
Oh yeah.
it's a great game too.
Yeah, 14-inch is played a lot at the co-ed level.
Hmm.
We have a co-ed national with the 14-inch. That's usually, I believe, in the September time. Usually towards the end of September, they play it at the Melrose Park League fields over there. So yeah, we see the 14-inch enough. We don't really ever play it with just men. It's more women and then men. It's the
Gotcha.
co-ed style.
Yeah,
So
Hey Jim, do
we
you
only
guys play mush ball 14 or is it hard 14
no,
over
we
there?
play mush. Yeah, so
It's
the
yeah,
guys
they
come with
don't they
the
don't
club.
yeah, they don't play hard 14 over there.
Right.
But this is like a 16-inch ball. It's just a little harder to start,
Correct.
and so there's really only one tournament, maybe two in Iowa a year, but it's ran by ASA. It's a state tournament, and they get 24 teams for it every year. It's a good event. It would be great to have a couple Chicago teams come down and play in it at some point.
Now, yeah, do you guys play that with a glove?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It needs to be a glove. It's kind of that mixture. If you have a big bopper who can step on it, you can hit it out. You can hit it 300 feet and hit it out, but it's still um, you're still hitting your holes like 16-inch, and you're not just blowing it through the infield
Right.
every time.
Right. No, that makes total sense. So, Alex, obviously you played this weekend. You loved it. You saw it. You said you kind of explained the difference already between 12-inch and 16-inch. But my question to you is in your short time, you've been playing since last year, what would you think would make this game better to bring on more teams, to bring in more 12-inch players to play 16-inch? What would be the thing that you would do?
Cut the politics out. I mean, being new, you can see all the politics everywhere. There's a classification here, a sanction here, a sanction there. A group of guys are making the invites back there. There needs to be, you know, ambiguity between all the different associations. There's no reason to have SSA, ASA, Forest Park, ISSA here in
Yeah.
Iowa. Like, all of them need to put egos aside, and work together to grow the game.
Good luck.
National tur I know. I've followed along for a few years before I've even played. I get it, but national tournaments shouldn't be invite only. It should, or if it is, there needs to be a criteria. The Major World Series for USSSA is invite only, but there's a true criteria for how to get into that tournament. It's based on points. It's based on playing other tournaments.
Right.
You have to be, the top 24 teams, in the conference or in USSSA are the 24 teams that are in that tournament. And that's what everybody's battling to get to. So, I don't know if a point system works in Chicago, or if anyone would even follow it. But at some point, just, people having the end goal to grow the game and get more people playing. I think part of the reason we don't see more people playing is we don't see any young, at least here in Iowa, we rarely see young kids playing. Most people consider me a young kid playing. I'm 32, going to be 33, but I've been playing since I was 18, so I've
Right.
been around a while. But finding the kids fresh out of college, fresh out of high school, who are wanting to, go hit BP 3 times a week to get better, wanting to play league 5 nights a week. I know that's not everybody. I did that when I first started playing. I was playing, 15 games a week. I was taking BP before games. I was doing all that. We don't see that anymore. And, it would be great to see some, the young teams working their way up.
Yep.
Young players joining good teams. It's hard to find young guys to pick up.
And Alex, you're talking more like 12-inch, right?
I'm talking everything.
No, I'm saying, but when you came like in the Quad Cities, 16-inch is not
Right.
over here. Like, it was more like U-trip over here. They had the dugout had like the U-trip. So like, but like it's weird about like 16-inch. So like Chicago has the whole city. Okay, they got all these parks. Like, you got guys. If you look at the Chicago Hall of Fame, there's guys that are inducted into the Chicago Hall of Fame for only playing their park tournaments, like, because they would just go play park tournaments, would care less about playing national tournaments, stuff like that. But then you got like a town that I'm from is Carlisle. Rick's, by the way, is a Carlisle. We got 20 young kids. We got 2 young teams from just that small community, and it's like, and like Marshalltown will have 3 to 4 young teams, and it's like what you said, though. It's introducing this game to these other little communities where maybe we do tournaments at these smaller, like, towns, you know what I mean? Where maybe Clinton would be perfect to do a 16-inch tournament, where we get these kids out there and all of a sudden it's the first time they've ever seen a 16-inch ball. And then we go do it at Burlington next year, or something, you know what I mean? Like, just to get like more kids involved, like you said, or like 12-inch in general. But like, 16-inch to me is more of a baseball game. Like, it's low scoring. It's moving. It's doing things the right way. If you make an error, it's a big deal. Where 12-inch, where if you have an error, it's like whatever. You know what I mean? Like, errors happen. The ball's hit so damn hard. Like, you're not gonna sit in front of every ball. But that's my point to it. Is like, it's town by town. Like Marshalltown, Carroll, Carlisle. Des Moines gonna have a couple, but like, there's no reason why like a small town like Carlisle is gonna have like 2 teams, but then the rest of the state don't have any. Like, it's crazy. So
yeah. So like, all the teams that are from Chicago, what about outside of Chicago and Illinois? Do teams outside of Chicago play 16-inch? Are they only playing 12-inch or what?
No, in the suburbs, I mean, there's 16-inch leagues. They're just not as competitive. I would say they're more probably B level at best. There's some, I know Schaumburg used to have a league back in the day. Like I know Western Springs still has a league. Berwyn has a league. Willow Springs has a league. They're just, I mean, and some of the major players are dabbled in those parks, but it's not as competitive as even the A or the major.
Yeah.
Nowhere even near the major. And honestly, A now, from what it was, and no disrespect to any of those A teams, but from what it was 15 years ago to now, it's a completely different A national, right? It's just different. I think back then you had, I mean, when I started playing, you literally had an A national and a major national tournament on the same weekend in two different locations, and you had, you know, 20 plus teams in each tournament that could win. It was just different. It really was. And so, when you look at where softball is now, and hence one of the reasons why, cousin Donnie and I really wanted to start this show 2 years ago was to really grow the game and kind of get more people involved like yourself, get more talent to play 16 inch. And this kind of leads me right into a comment by Max. He says people don't like to play 16 inch as much because it's harder to play. I think, to his point, it's harder to play with bare hands, right? I think people get afraid of when they say, "Wait a minute, you're not using a glove." But to your point, Alex, I think it's a lot. It's fun, right? I mean, you had a blast playing without no
Yeah,
glove this
I think
weekend.
I think people are afraid of the unknown. They don't know. They've
Right.
never
Yeah.
played it before, so they don't know. But like, we we dropped the gloves for 3 weeks in league and played against teams without them just to practice. And I knew it was more fun that way than with gloves. But then playing this weekend
Right.
against the three teams we played against played with gloves, so we didn't get to experience hitting against the teams without gloves.
Right.
But
Like, Alex, like there's a difference between playing like league, especially like CR league, because I know you're talking
yeah,
about CR league,
yeah,
and then it's like then you're actually going out there and competing. Like, dude,
yeah.
it's a blast. Like when you're playing no glove, like at the top level, and you're walking out there without a glove, it's like, what am I doing? And you feel that ball, like especially being a pitcher, and you're like, oh, it's hard. Like that's always our joke, It's like the ball's rolled out there, you grab it, and you're like hard ball, and everybody's slamming on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get rid of that hardness, type deal. And it's just like, and then all of a sudden you got somebody standing up there at the box, like it's time to go. It's just a different game instead of rolling a ball out there for league. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's so much more fun. The game 16 inch should be played without a glove. Like overall, that's just how it should be played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mentioned it earlier. I wanted to hear from you guys the comparison of levels between 12 and 16 inch, because in 12 you have E through RPL. A teams are the highest level teams, but then you have RPL players, where 16 inch you have majors A and B. Where if and the reason I want to talk about this is because I've mentioned it to Donnie, I've talked to Drew about it, but there is a tournament in the Quad Cities on the Illinois side in September. That's a 12-inch tournament that
Okay.
would be great. You get 3 open players to play, and then you have to have the rest of your team has to be below D level or unranked. And I
Okay.
think that'd be a great event to get a bunch of 16-inch players and Chicago players to come play and play 12-inch at a fairly competitive level
Okay.
and see what it's about.
Yeah.
And I know
God, Drew.
Uh, and I know Alex and I have talked a little bit about this too. Is like there's a lot of upper players that we could get matched with some guys from Chicago that were great players, and it's not like so the playing field would be pretty level with it, So you'd have some good 12-inch players with some newbie,
Mm-hmm.
guys, and like I mean I'm only a D player, but I think me and Hovey and Maddie and who else we got on our team, Alex?
Nobody yet. I haven't really talked to anybody, but I'd love to get Breezy as our third open player, and
Yeah. We'll get Breezy.
me, Breezy, Shraggy as our opens, and Drew
Yeah.
and Donnie seemed interested, and
Jimmy would
let's
be in there too. Jimmy would come. Hey, I'll keep the pool open. It's September 20th. I'll keep the pool open. I got it heated. It's ready to go.
Yeah,
Whoever wants to
Yeah,
come.
no, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind it. I would love to try it at a tournament level. I think 12-inch is something that is a different speed, right? It depends on the position. That's the other thing, because like some of us pitch, and I know guys. I hear these horror stories about pitchers getting drilled in the face, and those type of things with mask and catcher's gear and so on. So yeah, I mean, but to your point, yeah, I would say that, and I think Helmer even told me this too, is that he even said, he goes, "Oh, some of the 16-inch guys probably could play. The Garens played a major level. Holstein
Yeah.
played at a major level. Some of the guys could easily do it. It just takes time to adjust to the speed. And
yeah,
I think that's what it is, right?
yeah,
You got to get used to the speed of that, because I haven't seen that speed since my college days
yeah.
of playing
Well,
ball.
why
If
are
it's
guys so against combining the two games? I see comments, from Max and Jake that 12 and 16 are no comparison, and quit combining the two games. To me,
Alex,
softball's softball, and
yeah.
I obviously I have a strong passion for softball, and that's any kind, but
Alex,
I just want the whole game to grow.
it's because like I've come from like my biggest like laugh always all the time was with Hook and Butler. Like we'd always see all these 12-inch guys, 12-inch teams coming to play, and we're like, what is the motocross in town? With all like the wild jerseys and shit, and like
Yeah,
you go to Chicago, it's always it's cotton tees, it's
yeah,
it's shorts, it's what I mean? It's the most laid back family environment you can get,
Yeah.
so it's like you bring in these wild jerseys, these, stuff like that. It's just different to this game, and like it's getting to come on. Like when Chuck's, like when we would come over with our new jerseys, people would be like, man, these are wild. But it's getting to be a really good event between Iowa and Chicago now. Like back in the day, like we were hated, but now it's getting better, but it's still there. Like you just wait until you come and play the major events and be an Iowa team, like you're hated. Just like how I always laugh when I go down there with Slap and Tickle to Yuma and people hate us. I'm like, well, welcome to my world when we come to Chicago every weekend. And going off of what you said, I saw you type something on or responded to somebody about, well, why didn't Los Lobos come to North South or Midsummer or something like that? And you were like, well, it costs five
yeah,
grand, a team to come. And you're exactly right. It's not freaking cheap, man.
hmm
And what these guys don't understand, where they make it sound so easy, but like it's easy coming to Marshalltown or coming to Des Moines where it's $88 or 105 a hotel room. When
Oh,
you're coming
yeah.
to Chicago, it's 215. It's $300, a night, a room, and it's easily 5 grand, and
hmm
it's not easy to come over. And we all got stuff going on, and you try to tell somebody that, you can't. Hey, it's going to cost you $700 just for the hotel for the weekend. They're not going to want to come, so you got to try to pick up guys. But no, then
Right.
there's rosters involved. It's a big ordeal with it, and that's what Chicago people don't understand. Where we try to come over, I guess being Chucks, like we used to come over for every tournament, and now it's like if I don't have a full roster, or if we're missing a guy or two, it's not worth it, because if we lose a game, then it just like they beat the person on our chest, like they beat Chucks. It's they
hmm
don't understand that we don't have 3 starters, but we still made the trip and spent all the money and still went back home,
Yeah.
hmm
so
No,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, when they come to Iowa, or when they come to Chicago, the Iowa teams, and I know Drew's point. They feel sometimes that they're hated, but I don't think so as much anymore. When they come, I think people, I want to
Jimmy,
say,
not from you guys or the competition. It's
yeah,
from left field. You know what I mean? Like it
it's
is
from
100%. You
from
can ask,
behind the
you
camera.
can, you can ask Sal. We played signature 2 years
yeah,
ago or a year ago at Midsummer Classic. Those umpires were already coming out to, dude. I got tossed.
yeah,
I've never been tossed in a game in my life. I played not every level. I didn't, play baseball levels, but like I got tossed in a tournament where I was like talking to my teammates, and the umpire tossed me and said, like, if you weren't talking shit last night, you wouldn't have got this result today. I said, what? Who
Yeah.
who gets that? You know what I mean? Like, so
Oh,
they
yeah.
brought over, like, it was
I mean, I understand your point.
yeah.
I feel that same hatred when we go to Yuma, as you're well aware.
Mm-hmm. Well, we
It's
have fun out there, don't we?
oh
Maybe
yeah,
Alex can come.
yeah, for sure. So I think his earpods just died on him. So Alex,
Shit.
can you still hear us, Alex? No, he cannot. Well, we were just talking about how bad of a hitter Alex is, right? Weren't we, Drew?
Yeah, Alex is such a
Oh,
bad hitter.
he's back now. We gotta say a nice thing. Yeah, we hear you're back
God, he
now.
came prepared.
I had to get the gaming headset out, for zone. This for
That's awesome.
we play Call of Duty to, keep the
Attaboy.
There you
hand-eye
go. There you go.
coordination going. He says.
Yeah.
So Alex, this is the part of the show. I know you've had questions for me already.
Yeah.
And cousin Donnie. I know, unfortunately, cousin Donnie's out playing a game right now. Probably just ended his game over in the Melrose Park League, but we had a beautiful, wonderful, good-looking fill-in tonight. Who actually's internet was great, his sound was great, everything worked for him. So Donnie had a lot of issues last week. Uh, I always ask every guest the question, what would you change? I think what you said is a point system and kind of got into that. I love the idea. I think we have to make it more basic, but I also want to make sure that people understand that Forest Park is an invitational tournament. I know they call it the No Glove National, and they always try to invite the best 24 teams. I believe you'll be in that tournament next year. Unfortunately, you guys didn't make it this year, but I'm sure we'll see you out there. This is the point of the show where we hand it over to you. You ask questions that you may about myself or Drew here. I know you thought you were getting Donnie, but this is a better looking Donnie. So please fire away.
Well, I think first off, we as Los Lobos want a chance at whoever wins the major no glove. So
Okay.
whoever wins that, we need to make something happen.
So that is a challenge. The A major no glove, or I'm sorry, the A major national champion versus the major national champion, which would be a pretty cool game to have.
Yeah. So we should be in contact and see if we can get something to happen. I've been in contact with a guy who runs the Dome tournaments here in Iowa, and we have a date set aside for a 16-inch tournament this winter. I don't have
beautiful.
I don't have the date set yet.
Yeah.
But as soon as I have that,
How
I
big
will
is
share
the
that. We play 12-inch in it, so you have like 270 feet to one field, 300 to center, 310 to right field.
It's a big.
I think that's like yours, right?
Yeah. So, and I think they set it up for like fast pitch and youth baseball, and they're able to get like 220-foot fields in there. I don't know if we could get 250s in there. So we probably just have to play on one field, but yeah, I think it would be a good time.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know Drew came down last year to the Dome. We usually run Friday night tournaments. I think I ran, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 last year. The year before, 2 or 3. This year, I'm going to pick the dates way out ahead of time. I'm going to get them out there. We're going to run our draft tournament this year. I know we usually pick a charity or we pick some type of individual who we're fundraising for. So we're definitely going to do that again. So let me know that date, Alex.
Okay.
I would love to promote that and maybe even get a couple, maybe 10, 15.
We'll fill that for sure, Alex.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which would be awesome.
Awesome.
I can't remember what I was going to say. Alex, you talked about, God bless, I can't remember what the hell, what did you start off with? Can't remember. Oh, I was, I remember I was going to say the national tournament, the glove, what you were going to say. We always do an all-star game, Illinois between Iowa. Dude, it's literally one of the best games. I'm sad you're going to miss it, but we beat Illinois, but also if you ask Jimmy, they don't have the right players playing for them though.
Hey, some of us are not allowed to play in the game.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah,
So that's another political thing where
it
you don't
is.
get to.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I was reading a comment with Quinn. That's what I was going to do. So
Yeah.
Quinn said that he would take the best Iowa players and would go 12, 14 and 16 inch all combined. That was a good comment. I couldn't see it.
And
yeah, no.
It
so
went away.
Quinn's one of my guys, and
Yep.
I,
Plays
I get
center field for you guys, right?
I
Yeah.
get where he's coming from, and I personally agree. The way I would pose it though is, instead of it being confrontational or anything, let's grow the game. Let's get the best of Iowa, the best of Illinois, all in one place, and let's play, and let's see what happens, and let's try to get a bunch of fans. We used to do this. We've done it twice now, where Dobson has promoted big events, and we call them $5,000 series or $10,000 games, and there was a briefcase of money, and we had some big crowds and played some
Did
good
you hear
games.
about when I called Dobson?
Uh-uh.
Oh, ask Dobson about that. That was funny. So he was calling out 16-inch guys next after you guys beat, because you were C players, right? At the time. And so Alex, go on and tell Jimmy about the whole bet. It's a good bet.
What? I don't know the bet.
No. So it was Dobson, the guy that runs Los Lobos. So Dobson, he put $5,000 on the table, and then Dan Cruz,
Oh
which
yeah.
is from Des Moines, he is good friends with was the top A major B whatever. Like I don't know the whole 12-inch thing, but Dobson said my guys would beat the best like major players in 12-inch. So they each put $5,000 on the table and played a 3-game series up at in what was it, Marion?
Yeah, Marion. Yeah.
Right outside of Cedar Rapids, and the C players won. I mean, it was a big deal. So like they brought in a bunch of players. So Hovey, you at the time you were C, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was your Drip City team, and they beat them. So it was a cool deal. So then Dobson, I saw it, and I'm like, you know what? Hell with that. I'll bring some 16-inch guys, and we'll flip a coin, and we'll play 16-inch, 12. It was a fun ordeal. That's all I
So
could say.
really quick, I want to get to a comment. Trey Way says, he says, is Resmondo and Rufex still coming to 16-inch major nationals? So Resmondo 100% is going to be at major nationals. Rufex, I talked with Spencer, I want to say it was about a month ago, and he was on the fence. He's not really sure because some of his guys are going to go play the ASA. So they were unsure. I know he had a couple injuries, I believe, at that time. So I don't know if those guys have healed. I'm not sure, but I am going to check back in with Spencer. Early in the year, they did say that they were going to come play. And then I talked to him about a month or two later, and he was kind of on the fence. So now's the time to check it back in with him. We also had psychopaths from Arizona, from Yuma, or talking about coming in from San Diego as well. The last time they came in, they took second in the major national tournament. They're a very good team that we always run into in Yuma, Drew and I. So if we can get more teams, to your point, Alex, like grow this game, right? That's why we do what we do, and that's why I waste, my time. I don't want to say waste, but take my time away from family and all the things that I do in my life to really do this show and really kind of promote our game. Because I do love it. I think it's something that has been a part of my life for the last 20 years. And I mean, I met my family, my wife. I've met, a lot of cool people like Drew through this game, the contacts, things like that I can't give back. And so the only way to give back is really to kind of promote this game for the future. And hopefully the kids in their 20s and 30s that play the game now will help us grow the game. I've been trying to get more kids out of Kennedy Park and more kids on the south side to play major softball and try to get them to play the best. But, some of them do, some of them don't. It's just the way it is, right? So, to my point, I rather promote the game nationwide. I mean, when you look at ESPN, we talk about this all the time. You look at things that are on TV. I mean, you got wiffle ball. You have all these different weird sports um, that make ESPN news, that make ESPN. I mean, it's like, how is the game of our game not on TV? And I think it's something that when you look at certain things, there. I mean, I would sit home and watch a 16-inch game or any type of softball, even if it was 12-inch on TV. How that's not on ESPN is beyond me when you look at some of the things that are on there.
Hmm.
I agree,
You
Jimmy.
you've talked
Go ahead,
about
Alex.
Yuma. You've talked about Yuma a couple times. So Yuma, and I know there's been some Iowa teams that went to Vegas to play a 16-inch tournament as well. Are both of those with gloves or without gloves?
They're both with gloves.
With gloves.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about doing Yuma. Is why I was asking.
Alex. If you ever want to come to, if you want to do Yuma, just reach out to me. We'll talk because
Yep.
Yuma's it's a tournament that I've won twice now. Jimmy's won 4 times. Jimmy
3. Yeah.
3 times, and it's Alex. It's a it Forest Park, and they hit each other on the head. Like when you make that late Sunday night game, it is the fans are out there. There's nothing better than playing that game on Sunday night, and Forest Park is one of those games where Forest Park from start to finish is like that. But when Yuma is like the just the whole how it's put together is a good time. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if you want to go out and play that, just get a hold of me. And
is it invitational only, or can we just pay our way in?
No, you're
Yuma,
good.
you
Yeah.
can just join. And the cool thing about Yuma is they do play a pool play format. So on Saturday you get 4 games, and then you play yourself into a single elimination tournament on Sunday.
Okay.
So that is a cool way, and that we've talked about that now in Chicago over the last several years to try to draw more teams from outside the state to play that. Because think about it, if a team from Iowa comes down or anywhere, Arizona or whatever, and they're in a double elimination tournament, they could lose the first 2 games and go home. Mm-hmm. At least they get some games under their belt. If we do go to that format in a certain tournament, I think it would help grow the game. I really do. I think it would matter. But really quick, is there any questions for both myself and cousin Donnie or Drew here that you would have for us? Because I know we're running up on our time. I just don't want to, want to make sure we keep it within our time limit here.
No, I mean, I feel like I've asked questions the whole time.
Perfect.
I've had a blast on here, and I think that what you do is great. I try to tune in every time you're on. I loved your idea last week of a board. We have a players association board or player representative board for 12-inch. There's its own flaws in that, but just having a group of people that'll go to bat for you and help grow the game is definitely something that I think could really help 16-inch as a whole, and keep getting more players, more teams, more tournaments. That's the other thing. There's not, if we're getting bumped to major, there's not a ton of tournaments for us to play in. We can play in the early bird here in Des Moines, Marshalltown, Carroll. Being on Father's Day is a little tough, but we could do that. And then, how many events are there in Chicago that, and all of those are gloves. How many no glove events are there in Chicago for major teams?
So there's 4 no glove that are major tournaments, and then you have the major national, which is Labor Day weekend with a glove. Mm-hmm. So you play 4 no glove, and then that one. Some of us major guys, to what we were saying, we go to Yuma, we go to other complexes and things like that. We go to Iowa. Those are all with gloves. But before we get to our next question, Sam Roger has a question about Yuma since we're on the subject. How many fields does a Yuma complex utilize? So Sam, what they do in Yuma, they do 2 different complexes. So what they do is one year they had everything at one big complex down there, which is like 7 or 8 fields. This year they had it where they were at 4 or 5 different parks where you played your pool play games at that park. And then everyone came back on Sunday to the main park, where the championship is being held. I believe it was Segretti. What did they say?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
great.
lot, and field comp like sizes are like Marshalltown, 250 fences, well with more trees, of course, and it's a blast.
Yeah. So we have a guy named Zach says that 16-inch doesn't even exist in Minnesota. We have the Chicago 16-inch Hall of Fame on here right now. He's saying Yuma's awesome. Come to Phoenix in March. So the Hall of Fame runs a tournament in March, which is usually they do a couple pool play games and then they do a single elimination tournament down there. That one I would say is probably more of a friend tournament, but is definitely a fun tournament. We have a lot of people I know. March comes down there. They come pretty loaded with a lot of the major players. Uh, some of the other guys, we've been going down there, I think 12 years now. That has become one of our friend trips. So it's a really cool tournament. I know Al Mags does a great job doing that stuff and trying to get that done. This year it got rained out. You know, Jake Olson's on
Jake
here.
is just
Been
blowing
commenting.
you up.
Yeah, he's been commenting the whole time. He
Yeah.
wants to know why there's a time limit on the show. So he's been blowing up stuff. He made a good point earlier about Sports Vision TV back in the day used to have 16-inch softball. It is kind of funny, right? Why people always ask me how come 16-inch. The production to run is crazy. It really is. And I think that's why one of the main reasons why we need to find a huge corporate sponsor that's someone that wants to possibly throw out that kind of dough to have the game back on TV. We were lucky enough before my time to have a gentleman by the name of Rich Melman, which I reached out to numerous times over the last several years, just to not only pick his brain but also to talk about 16 and softball and bring him on the show. He considered it and then wanted the guy that created the cut ball to come on with him. Unfortunately, that guy was not available, so he decided not to come on. So yeah, so that was kind of some of the things in the past. But I'm out of questions, Drew. I don't know if you have any more, but Alex,
I have a few more for you, Jimmy.
there you go, buddy.
So,
Beautiful. Hell yeah.
so with only having 4 major no glove tournaments in the year, is that why the emphasis on league is so important? Because league here is not important. It's just something for us to go get swings, get out of the house, do something. When we were, almost not able to play a no glove, one of the things I was asked was, well, what's your league record? It's like,
So hold on. So Jimmy, I'll coming from Iowa. So our leagues are a joke, Alex. Like our leagues are an
right.
absolute joke. But their leagues, they play for money. So like every game means something in their league.
Yep.
So that's why their league records are more important to like what ours are. You know what I mean? Where like we could have 4 guys and you're trying to pick up guys from the street. I remember one year when I was coming over to play with Brady, our big joke is I can't remember what his name is, but like we had a kid out there that like he should probably have not have been playing out there. You know what I mean? We needed to fill someone. Yeah, we needed to fill. I think his name was Jordan. He's still can't find him, but whatever. But no, in Chicago though, like you win a league like tournament game or like a league, like it means something. Like I told you earlier, like there's guys in the Chicago Hall of Fame that's all they won was league tournaments, and
that's also how they stay fresh, right, and stay competitive. Because with only 4 tournaments, how are you ready for major no glove?
You're hitting the nail on the head. You're hitting the nail on the head. Like they play competitive games all throughout the week, and we don't get that same work. With the team that I play on, we got guys from Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, just like you guys do too. You guys got guys from South Dakota, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You guys, the first time you guys see each other is for a tournament. Like same with us. Well, the camaraderie is not there. So
coming from Chicago now, 15 years ago when I started playing, the Hotchkins used to have a pro league, and those leagues, like it was a special thing to go out and play in those leagues, right? Because every team showed up, every team was fully committed. That's changed a little now, but we still get, and I wish our major players were more committed to league play than what they are. But to your point, Drew, we still have, those leagues still pay out money, right? Forest Park.
They do.
Here's the other thing, like a team fighting for a bye like a team like going in this year, like a Hex, them putting up a record in Forest Park, uh, allowed them to possibly get a bye and then doing well in some of the tournaments. So, I mean, there is some added value. Forest Park does look at their league standings when they pick the teams. I know that for a fact. They look at their league standings when they pick the teams for the No Glove National if the teams don't have a bye. So, for example, the way they do it is the previous four teams from who plays top four automatically get a bye to next year. Okay, that's how they do it. So first, second, third, fourth, they're automatically seeded. The next four teams are basically on Forest Park's discretion who the next best four teams. They look at league play. They look at how you do in tournaments. They really do. Now, I would love to
They do.
have a
Yeah.
board member from the Forest Park, tournament on in the next 2 weeks before the tournament, which I'm going to try to get on the show to talk about how they look at the Forest Park, invitational as they call it, and how they pick and choose those teams based on a criteria. I know some of them are politics, absolutely, but there's nothing in our world that's not part of politics, right? To a point. So you almost just have to accept that. But they do put some emphasis into it. Who gets the 5? Who gets the 6? Who gets the 7 and 8? Based on what they feel, a lot of times could be the eye test, right? I mean, we've all seen that. We've all heard of that. So, and I think it does matter. And I think I know a lot of the Chicago guys here saying leagues don't matter as much. I still think they matter. I mean, nobody goes out there and wants to lose a game.
And Jimmy, going off like what you said is like those guys at Forest Park. They're that like for us, it's easy to like just pick whatever. But like, come on, like their job is not easy to pick those teams
Right.
to come to their league. Like it is a tough draw. You know what I mean?
How many
Do
years
I
has
do I
that
believe that Los
tournament?
Lobos should have been in? Yes, like 100%. But the other teams,
How
like
many
it
years
is a
has that
tough. It
tournament
is a
been
I want
23 teams with 4 play into the final spot?
I want to say that
yeah.
this year is the 54th annual Forest Park tournament. I could be wrong. Don't hold me there, but it's somewhere
Yeah.
around there.
And has it
Uh,
always been that format where it's 4
it hasn't.
play-ins?
No, it hasn't. So back in the day, they used to play single elimination.
Okay.
There were a couple of years it was single elimination,
You're right.
but for the most part, it has been the double elimination format. Since I've started playing, it's been double elimination. Back in the day, they were
Moji just said 57th year Forest Park.
I guess my what I'm getting to is why not just go to an even number? Why not just go to 32 teams, grow the tournament, have no buys, seed it strictly 1 through 32,
yeah,
and I know those middle seeds are going to be really tough,
yeah.
but
Hey,
To be
Hovey,
honest,
it already starts
not,
on Thursday, man. You guys would not make it.
there's not enough.
I'd be there.
I know you would be.
Ovi, there's not enough 24 major teams most of the time
Yeah.
that are major play. That are major teams. I mean, you usually get 3 or 4 A teams and about 20 major. We've struggled over the last several years to try to find those bottom teams to compete at that level. This year, I feel it's a little bit different though. This year, I feel there's more. There's some better teams towards the bottom than what there's been in the past. That's my opinion, right? So
Yeah.
I think that any one of those teams, the Goodwoods, the Los Barachos, or the LBSE, some of those other A teams, Futures had a top 5 finish in a major tournament this year. So I mean, there's opportunities. Every given weekend's different, as we all know, playing this game. But that's just kind of where we stand. What's your next question, Alex?
Um, with you had said you need a big sponsor, a big backer to televise stuff. With the way that technology's going, I know you guys are in a stranglehold with, and your hands are tied with SSA a lot on it. But have you guys checked out USSSA Live at all in the way they live stream the conference? I know Treyway, who's in here, Treyway Slaves, he shares a lot of it and does it a lot, but they are so good at it. And DW sets everything up on all the fields, and then like the big games, he goes and commentates it like Geo does when he's doing it. I think that's something like at No Glove Nationals, there's 2 fields, right? That's all they use. So setting up two fields should be very easy to do, and they should be able to live stream every game. Throw a GoPro on each field and go, and then
Right.
Gio could hand pick which ones he's gonna commentate.
Well, so up until last year, I believe Geo was not allowed or just didn't live stream at Forest Park. There's
Alex doesn't know that whole
I don't.
thing. Yeah,
a lot of headache prior to that. Now, Adam Cumby, he always live streams Field 1 of Forest Park. Field 2 of Forest Park is never live streamed. Yes, I love your idea, but that should be at every tournament, right? Now we have to buy the software for that. You have to have people subscribe because I know that they use a subscription to get into those to watch those live streams, right?
Yeah,
so
but they've monetized it. They're trying to, they're making big money on it. Where you could use it simply on a Facebook page and have two streams going, and have the have whatever page it is streaming one, and then a personal one streaming the other one shared on that page, and do every single game. I know they do it in Carroll, which is great. I was able to watch a bunch of games in Carroll.
Right. No, I love the idea, and I love the fact that you can announce that game from anywhere, which I think is a really cool point too, right? So, it's a great idea. Something that, the day after Labor Day, when I basically go and put this committee together that I have in mind, and we're going to have to have a sit down, and I think there's going to be some good things that come out of it. I hope people are open-minded. I hope it goes as well as I think it will go. And I think that when we go to, sit down with the SSA, because I have a handful of guys attending that I'm going to ask to join us the day after Labor Day. And so I'm going to be asking those people in August to give them 3 to 4 week notice to make sure that they're available that Tuesday after Labor Day to sit down at a meeting and have a conversation about really improving the game and what we can do differently. Because us talking about it is great. Us allowing these guys to continue to do the same old shit all the time, it gets boring, and I've heard it from a lot of Chicago players this year that we want different formats, we want different parks, we want different ideas, we want to try different things to keep the game exciting, and I think when you do change locations and you do change formats and you do change certain things for certain tournaments, it does make it interesting again. I mean, North-South this year was really fun because it was back at the original park that it started at, which it hasn't been, I want to say 5 or 6 years. It was really cool. I don't know, Drew, if you felt it, but I felt like it was a different tournament than what it was at Oak Lawn. I just felt it was, and I think that's the type of stuff I'm talking about bringing that excitement back, allowing these guys, the old school guys to kind of be open-minded to some of the new softball things that we want to try. It ain't going to ruin the game. And here's the best part about everything that goes with it. If it doesn't work, you can always go back to the original way, and I think that's one of the main things that people have to understand. And we can raise money. We can do all sorts of things to make these tournaments bigger and better. To your point, you put a room of 11 people in the room, all working together from all aspects of associations, all aspects of softball, be a major, there's going to be good that comes out of it, and so that's my goal. I mean, if people are going to fight back, that's fine. Let them fight back. I don't care. We're going to move forward, and I hate to break it to you, Alex, but I know some people with some big time money, and I think we can make some things happen that will be willing to, if we have some type of association that's going to make changes and promote the game and promote businesses and so on. We'll definitely make an impact. So,
good question. That's what I could say too. Is like Jimmy's point is Jimmy's not going to let this game die. Like we're going to make this game better. Like from Iowa to Chicago, like it's got to be better. Like this whole thing with you guys not getting in, like I think going forward, I think nationals. I mean, it sucks for you guys, but like no glove nationals now is probably next year will be a invite to Forest Park. I mean, I think with how much drama this has brought, like
Yeah.
it's gonna be there.
guess my
It sucks
assumption
for you
is
guys, but
yeah, but my assumption is they were with the 6 or 7 teams that they included. They were assuming one of those 6 or 7 was going to win it.
yeah.
So
Right.
and if Future wins then
But they
there's no
talk to the
question.
wrong people though, because there's a reason why we fought hard for you guys to get into
Yeah.
that A no glove, because we knew you guys would make a run for it. We didn't know how you guys would feel it or field it was what I'm gonna say, but like we know you guys could hit it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but it's just one of those things where it sucks to be you guys, and now going forward where A no glove national championships are gonna go to Forest Park.
Jimmy,
I don't know
did you
that. I
watch
mean,
the
Jimmy
live
knows
streams?
more about that than I do, but
I had a major card show at my facility over the weekend, my bar, and I had
Okay.
thousands of people, and my kid was playing a tournament the same day, about 10 minutes from where my bar's at. And so I did not watch, I did watch the replays of some of the stuff, watching you guys swing it. I think your Menace game was on live stream. I watched that one. I watched the championship, with that as well. So I did catch some of it, but it was all on replay. It wasn't live.
Yeah. Okay. The reason I ask is just some of the comments that or the commentary we been joking around with. Our bat wiggles were made fun of, saying we weren't going to hit for power with it, and then there were a lot of comments on my slide steps. So I just didn't know what your thoughts.
Oh, you want me to jump in about that?
Sure.
So Alex took like a big jump, okay? And the guy that starts with a G, he goes, "Oh, this guy doesn't know how to do the Chicago slide step, blah blah blah." But I played no glove long enough where 80% of the pitchers freaking do the same jump that Alex was doing, and like he had to make fun of Alex for not knowing how to jump off the rubber being a pitcher, and I'm like, why is it so biased? Like it drives me nuts that every time an Iowa person does something, like it has to be different. Like it is.
Hey, I'm on good graces now with Gio. He just started saying my name again on the live stream. So
Do I need to go put on my my shirt upstairs? I should. That's what I was gonna wear today.
I can't. Unfortunately, I don't want to say anything bad because he'll start calling me the pitcher again. So,
you want to buy some of these cards behind me?
So, but you know what, Alex, dude, this was awesome, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate.
Thank you, Alex.
I think this is one of the one of the most watched shows we've had in regards to. I mean, we've had almost several hundred people jump on and off over the course of the show. So obviously a big support from Iowa. Donnie and I we try to do whatever we can to support the Iowa game. We go out there with a team and so on. So we love the fact that you're doing the same. And I think moving forward, we're going to make some big changes to make the game better, right? I mean, the game's elite. The game is awesome as it is. Don't get me wrong. We're not disputing that, but we want to make it better. And there's some things we can make it better to draw more talent to the 16-inch softball world. So thank you again, Alex.
Yeah, I think the game itself is great. It's the things around the game that can be better. I don't know if you need to change anything about the game.
And Alex, we gotta talk more about that border battle thing, because you got that complex up there that it'd be amazing. We'll talk with Jimmy. We'll get a big thing going up there for a border battle. I'll make a big trophy. It'd be no glove tournament, and it'd be unbelievable because your facility up there is awesome.
Yeah,
it'd support it. So,
Alex, I definitely appreciate your time, my man. Once again, we'll be in touch, and I hope to see you very soon.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, my man. Well, that's our boy. That's Mr. MVP himself, Alex from Los Lobos. So, Drew, what did you think of some of his comments? I mean, a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, what Alex, like the whole 12-inch community, man, they support their guy. Like he was sharing a lot of our the streams he was coming on today. He's shared it all week, and their guys jumped on and just like any loyal person, like they're gonna be backing their guy. Like it's one of those things where we want that community with us. You know what I mean? Like as
Yeah,
much as we want to be, like we will talk about 12-inch, but 16 inches is where we want to go.
yeah, and 100%. And I think last year when Donnie and I, we decided we want, we're like, we're gonna go for the top dog. I want to see the top 16. I want to see the top 12-inch team
Yeah,
play 16-inch.
and you did
Now,
it.
yeah, we did it. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I think Rismondo was great. Great guys. You know, they caught some breaks. We all know that.
Yeah,
Uh, are they going to come this year and win it? Maybe, right? I know a
yeah,
lot of people are saying they're going to repeat. Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? I think that, uh, you know, last year they got kind of a break playing some of the teams they played early on. Flash put it to them pretty good. And
yeah.
I think they truly enjoyed it. So even if they did come and win again, I'm fine with it because I want to play the best. You know, I
So
don't
do
want
I.
to play. I
And
don't want to. To
one
me
of the
that's awesome.
one of the best things that I saw last year, like with the glove nationals, was you got like KP, you got Travis Clark, you got like some of the like these guys that are like the best dudes in 12-inch that everybody looks up to. They're looking at me going like, hey, where do I need to pitch this guy? How do I need to pitch? Like, where do I gotta go? And I'm
Yeah,
like, Travis, just do your thing. Like we're good.
yeah,
And then they figured it out real quick though. I mean, those guys hit the shit out of the ball, but it was a fun time because those guys treat us with most respect as we treat them.
yep,
And they didn't come in thinking they were the top dogs. They
no.
looked for us for what to do.
And
So
I'm not making no excuses. But if Danny Dispenza doesn't get hurt in the game,
yeah,
does Flash win that game?
yeah.
It's hard to say. I don't know, right?
We
So
don't know.
but
Yeah.
either way, I mean, congrats to Rismondo, obviously winning the major national. I can't wait to see him again this year. I just remember the vibe, the excitement of having those guys at the park was tremendous.
What
And
I'll
so,
tell you about
huh?
what the thing that I respect about the Rismondos guys is they came in with their pants on. They dove for every ball. They played the hardest defense. Like they were not the typical 12-inch guys that I've played against in Park League where they just they hustle out a single or they just jog out a single. Like those guys hit a ball, they're going for two. Like they have their pants on for a reason and
Yep,
it means business. Like when they
yep,
strap on their cleats, like it means they're coming to play.
yep.
So and they're going to try to win every game.
So Douglas here says, has major nationals always been on Labor Day weekend? The answer to that question is yes. It's
Yes, sir.
always Labor Day every year. So hopefully, I reached out. I literally reached out to every single 12-inch major team. I was able to get their contact information. We're on a big text message, and that text message was going wild about 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
It's
Uh,
it's unfortunate for it's unfortunate that Hovey's team Comatose,
yeah,
like they're kind of a local team to Wisconsin, to you
yeah,
anyways. They're they're really good this year. So I don't blame him for not wanting to come play 16
right,
inch. They got a good team. They've won a lot. So they can make a run at what their division is. And like
right.
Comatose would be in my favorite to win the A whatever the hell it's called 12
Right.
inch 12-inch tournament. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, no,
good for
100%.
them.
So,
Yep.
Bruce says the best 12-inch teams are always better than the best 16-inch teams at every type of softball. You know what? Everyone's got their own opinion. I
Who's
think
that? Who said that?
Bruce or Bryce.
Oh,
So
Bryce. Jesus
yeah,
Christ, Bryce. Go to bed.
yeah. So either way, Drew. Once again, man, I appreciate you filling in tonight for cousin Donnie.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey,
I
we'll,
just I gotta give a quick shout out because I'm not probably gonna be on the show next week.
yep.
My boys Ricks are coming to Chicago next weekend. Jimmy, can you take care of them if they stop by the bar?
Oh yeah. They're gonna be
Yeah.
coming in next weekend for the B National that is held in
Yes, B
Melrose
Nash.
Park.
Yep, B No Glove Nationals. So maybe we can get a Iowa team to win A and B.
Hey, never know.
Man, could you
Never know.
imagine that? Would
Yeah,
Chicago burn down?
I don't know. You know what though? I kind of I ain't gonna lie. I kind of hey, this is how you grow the game. You would have
100%.
never seen and years ago you would have never seen teams from out of Iowa in other states coming to play no glove. It just never happened. So
Hey, Jimmy,
yeah,
my boy Nate, he sends me texts every day. These kids are out hitting. Like these kids are motivated. And you're talking about like 19 to 20-year-old, 21-year-old kids. Like they love it.
yeah.
Like
We
this is what
Team
we need.
Jagoff. We got to play them in Iowa, and
Yeah.
they got some good athletes on that team for
Yep.
sure. There's no doubt. There's no doubt at all. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll be excited to see them. I know when is the B no glove? Is it next weekend?
Same
2
12th,
weeks.
13th. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
2 weeks. Not this weekend,
two,
but the next. Yeah.
2 weekends before Forest Park. Yeah, so
Yep.
for sure, tell them to stop in on the way in on
I
that front.
will.
Tell them to stop at Pop Magoo's and they're driving in. I'll take care of them. No problem at all. But Drew,
Yeah.
once again, thank you, my man, for filling in tonight. It's been a blast. I appreciate all of the fans, all of the comments. We have a ton of people hop on tonight, so thank you. And then also thanks to Alex, our guest, because I thought he had more questions than any guest we've ever had.
Great. Yeah.
But that's
Yep.
cool. That's really cool to see because you could tell he's really interested in 16 and softball.
He's dialed in. He wants to come play this, but he's on the fence. You know what I mean? Like he's got a bunch of guys. Like what Dobson also said too is like I remember just looking at him and Bryce's interview, and Dobson was like, I could probably have 3 teams next year. You know what I mean? But like that'd be great. Like you're talking about like top tier 12-inch guys coming to join 16-inch. That'd be unbelievable. Like that's what we need. You
That's
know,
what we
more
need.
more major teams is the better. You know.
Absolutely. So with this, I'm going to say thank you to all the fans. We appreciate watching the Uncle Jimmy and Cousin Donnie show, sponsored by the Beacon Tab Signature Transportation Group